Sunday night, we've got the Ford Flex XX in here. Basically, the washer fluid froze up, so brought it in here to thaw it out and get some lower temperature washer fluid in there. So that's done, but while it was here, I just remembered something. At some point this summer, the Flex became a Flec.
Desert Dust Bowl sun, where the bill man will call you almost every week. Which bills to pay today and what's left in the fridge to eat. Where stars frame the night, born out of dreams, just close enough to give hope, but too far to reach.
Now, my pal Mike, big supporter of the channel, actually partly responsible for me having the channel because he introduced me to Cold War motors and the rest all downhill from there. He likes to go raid junkyards. He's got the sickness just like any of us, and he's always really kind, thinking of other people. He knew I needed something, he couldn't remember what, so he got some Flex lettering. The L goes this way, off of some poor Flex that was there, and both parts of the X. They are chrome. The chrome seems a lot more common than this black one. This was only on a package on limited, I think, but not platinum, and on SELs with the black appearance package, so the black roof and mirrors and stuff. So it's a little bit rarer. I could get these chrome ones for next to nothing off eBay, but the black ones were really expensive if I could find them at all. I was gonna maybe just pull this one off and get it 3D printed, but actually they are ever so slightly different because of they're sort of angled to match the slope of the hood. So we actually need this one. Yes, it's chrome. That would look a little weird, but you know, we have ways of fixing that kind of thing. I'm gonna go back to my old model building days. Just set it there so it doesn't fall. And I have the tiniest little bit of oven cleaner left. Hopefully just enough. Let that buck for a while. And that should, I think, strip that chrome plating clean off. While we're waiting for that to do its magic, we can carry on with the Briggs Not a Rebuild. And for that, we still need a starter pulley. I'm going to steal it from this old Briggs here. This is a 86. It says chain drive. I don't know. 3 horsepower chain drive, but this pulley is not a chain drive pulley. I have no idea what it's off of, and it doesn't matter. All we want is the pulley inside here. The rope's already broken off, so that kind of makes things easier. And this thing is pretty much going to be for parts. I'm really only interested in saving maybe that one and definitely this gold copper 75. This fella's pretty rough. That one's already out. Ooh, rough. those tabs out of the way, and oh, gnarly. This spring is rusty. Gross. But this, you know what, even the rope is in better shape than the other one, I would say. Wonderful. Well, I actually have got this in here, spring and all, so that's rare. There we go. Got it. Don't want to cooperate. Oh dear. Uh-oh. Okay. Stay there. I'm gonna fold down these tabs right away. Before this scoots out. Okay. Good. If you're ever wondering if Gorilla wood glue is any good, that's what I used on this board, and I've cut out a plug, and not thinking ahead that I would need to cut out said plug. It was kind of already glued there in the center, so I cut halfway, like through the top board with one large saw, hole saw, through the bottom with a smaller one, thinking that it would just kind of pop out. It kind of didn't. It left a bunch of the bottom board still glued to the top board, because I went a bit far, I guess, with the top hole. So what that does do is it kind of makes it like a bit easier to locate in place when I put this back in. It kind of only fits one way, so that's okay. But anyway, I did that so that I had a place for the pulley to go. But the problem with these engines is that there's a whole lot that sticks down. Now I could drill a hole for the oil plug, but then there's still just a lot that would need clearance to bolt this directly to the bench. So I'm going to put this over here. I'm just going to use some sacrificial 2x4s, maybe not these ones, but something of a similar size. Attach them, and then attach the engine to those. And then tomorrow, because it's a bit late and I don't want to open the door and wake up the neighbors, we'll put some gas in this thing and run it up and see what happens. Now that this engine's secure here, let's see if this is going to come clean. I don't know if automotive chrome is any different from, you know, the model chrome. I'm sure it is, but just attack it with a brass brush and gloves, because you don't want to touch this stuff. And see it made a dent. I have to say, it doesn't really look like it did at all. Some steel wool maybe? Polishes it up nicely. Scotch-Brite pad. Having some effect. 180 grit. And if that doesn't work, nothing's going to. That should be enough to give some tooth to some primer at least. I got this little half X for the Flex XX primed, but it turns out I don't have any gloss black spray paint around, or at least I didn't think I did till I went into my model cupboard and I found this very old can of Testors Racing Colors number 99 X-Side. They call it 99 X-Side batteries Racing Black. I've warmed it up a bit because it's a bit cold in here and this is really old. I've also warmed up the X here, and let's just do it. It's been a long time since I did this. Slowly build up the color in light misting coats. See how it sprays. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Okay, that's different. Yep, it's just stuck. Okay, we're just gonna go in one shot, I guess. Ah! Well, the time has finally arrived, and I'm kind of excited. We need to fire up that little Briggs with the half-assed rebuild. Dr. Pepper's empty, so hopefully we don't need it. Move the coffee. Choke is on. It's our throttle. Plug wire on, that would help. Okay, so we have a pretty screamy starting guy. That happens, but it did run. I was just a little alarmed and I didn't turn the choke off. Let's set the choke down a bit. Ooh. We'll probably change that out. Like to idle down, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be. We have a small fuel leak right here where the carb attaches, which is not uncommon. If either of them get a bit warped, you'll get a bit of a leak there. That's pretty minor too. I've talked about these before on the channel and what can make them scream, and it's unusually, not a lack of lubrication, but too much lubrication, as in any, or any kind of dirt that gets in there. So there's kind of a conglomeration in here with 6, 5, and 6 little metal balls. And if these guys get a little bit gummed up, they scream. It's fairly dirty. Well, it's pretty clean. I couldn't record the part where I fetched Mama Cat's toothbrush for reasons of maintaining deniability. These are pretty clever in how they work. There we go. When we turn this way, so when we pull the rope, which pulls this, inevitably one of these balls, in this case it's this one, now it's this one, now it's that one, is going to catch. So a pretty clever and really fast acting one-way clutch. For the record, this is not Mama Cat's toothbrush. She's tough, but I don't think she's that tough. Try it again. Oh! Uh-oh. Okay. Suddenly really unhappy. It's running really quite rich. And I'm not sure why. It's getting quite a lot of fuel in there. Back at the Briggs again. I've taken the tank off, pulled the gasket off, the carb off, etc. You can actually remove these pickup tubes. This one I just twisted out by hand. It looks like somebody's put a little bit of sealant on it, which is not the worst idea, I guess, if you have the right stuff. This one is a little small and hard to get a grip on, but 3/8 wrench fits on it, and hopefully we can convince it without just breaking it off. Okay, moving now. There we go. And the reason for taking that off is because I want to just take a file across here and just smooth it out. Same with this, and really match these surfaces. So that's next on the agenda, I guess. Well, last week I did promise that this engine would be mounted on the Gilson snowblower and running and everything. And there's a lesson to be learned in that. Life is full of disappointments. However, I do have something even better for you. It's a prize, the best kind of prize, a consolation prize. What prize, you ask? It's time to read stories to grown men. Stories like the September 1959 edition of Popular Mechanics. Which foreign car is best for you? Miles per gallon or smiles per gallon? Chris, not sure what that says. Plots? I don't know. It looks like this was from the Lloydminster Co-op Drug Department. Lloydminster is a unique city located half on the border, well, fully on the border, half in Alberta, half in Saskatchewan. And depending what time of year it is, you might be on the same time as your neighbor, or perhaps an hour different, because Saskatchewan doesn't observe daylight savings time. Whatever side of the fence you fall on there, they fall on both. So I'm sure that's very confusing. Nevertheless, we have some interesting makes not seen often. DKW. I remember the first time I saw some Fiat
Multiplas.
There were two of them for sale. I was very confused as to what they were. Simca, division of Chrysler, of course. Volvo trailing way back there in the mileage, but those PV 544s proved to be very tough cars. Austin Cambridge, Renault Dauphine, Morris Oxford, I think, or Minor. Of course, the Beetle. The Saab, that's a good one for our friend Steven over at Cold War Motors. He'd probably pick that one. Or maybe he wouldn't, because he's having so much fun. Ads for GM Rochester carburetors. Nice 59 Chevy there. Oh, 59 Buick with the big fins. Cadillac, Pontiac, and Oldsmobile. All of them represented. Sweet. Phillies Cheroots from Indian Territory, and we mean cigar store Indian Territory, a land that's been invaded by a wonderful new cigar. Oh my. The smoke signal you get from Cheroots is miracle mild. Whoop it up with a cigar that's new in size and shape. Slick on the draw and big as your trigger finger. Oh, wow. Step up to Proto. Hey, Proto's good tools, man. I would love if that box showed up on my doorstep. That'd be amazing. In this issue, we have some talk about helicopters for the craftsman, table for your lamp, home uses for urethane foam. Regular departments next month, homes. Well, we're gonna miss out on that one. Enjoy velvet smooth smoking the whole bowl through. Spend the rest of your life on velvet. It might be shorter, but you can spend it on velvet. Oh, sweet. Big Jeep, a special Jeep station wagon built by George C. Henderson of Detroit. Front-wheel drive, 100-inch wheelbase, 4-wheel hydraulic brakes, directional signals, and all the usual trimmings. 20 miles per gallon with the 4-cylinder engine. It cost $420 and 60 days of labor, for which Mr. Henderson did not charge himself, as he writes, "I am on Social Security, so I have nothing to do." A little Jeep was adapted by Milton Pirrett of, after we learned some accounting, Damascus, Maryland, from plans he found in the PM book, The Boy Mechanic. 1.5 horsepower Briggs Stratton. Kind of Briggs Stratton. Can we tell? Oh, we can't tell. Master Sergeant Lawrence D. Cox started building an airplane in 1953. Finished it 5 years later. He spent about $800, but he can't guess the man hours invested. And it has been given a federal certificate of airworthiness. Nick Kuntz of Flasher, North Dakota, built this tractor from an assortment of parts. most of which originated in Detroit, Flint, and South Bend automobile factories. The front end started with a Model T, and the differential was borrowed from a 1947 Studebaker. Briggs Stratton motor, independent PTO. Here we have J.J. Nichols of Staffordshire, England, who built the Willie Nick Cruisette, 12-foot. Oh, he built his 14-foot to accommodate 6 passengers. Makes 7 to 8 knots. Still dreaming about a good job and more pay. Wake up to your opportunities in auto mechanics. Someone should warn them. A hot rod driven by 10-year-old Landy Dale Schubert of Tacoma, Washington. Lights, horn, clutch, differential, brakes, coil springs, and a front-mounted motor. It will climb a steep hill. And a backyard racer 3-wheeler built out of a 1946 Cushman ice cream scooter. Wolverine work shoes. Do you know this old timer? Think cars are too big today? What about this 7-passenger touring car? The make? See page 222. Bendix electric fuel pump. A lot of ads for career change here. Was that a big thing in 1959? Get some independent income during slack times, layoffs, and after retirement? Appliance technician. Don't get into that. Draftsman. Cummins diesel factory training. Make more money in television radio electronics. Oh boy. That didn't work out. Boeing openings offer engineers outstanding careers. Let RCA train you in electronics. Television servicing. Color television. Oh dear. Plastic laminating suddenly has become the most fascinating of all home-operated businesses. Money in worms. Sell 20,000 fish worms per week at $4 per thousand. From a bed a feet wide and 8 feet long. I think I'll pass. Air conditioning. Don't be half trained. Be a master technician. Ah, the old Charles Atlas ads, of course. Snow tires. Suburbanite or town and country tread. Look at that. $7.82 and $5.82. Any size. White walls, $2 extra. And I called those guys. I paid way more. Jeep owners, repower now with a V8 or 6-cylinder engine. Use Ford, Chev, Mercury, GMC, Pontiac, Studebaker, Dodge, or Plymouth. In Jeeps, Jeepster, station wagon, trucks, Kaiser, and HJ, Henry J. Cars. Conversion kits, $45.35 to $56.90. Encyclopedia Britannica, of course. Heavy equipment operators, well, still working that. Electronics, chance of a lifetime. If you train at home, you get to work on rockets. Amazing. Huh. Nutria, newest opportunity. New fur-bearing animal now being bred in U.S. offers huge profits to breeders. This fur is next to mink now in price and will soon surpass it. 15 to 20 young per year. Oh boy. Draw cartoons, earn big money. You can have a He-Man voice. Shrink hemorrhoids, oh dear. Shorthand speed writing. Oh, Red Wing shoes, they're still around. Power lawn roller by Lawn All. Screen for garage door. That's not a bad idea. I'd love a screen on this garage door. That'd be amazing. 2 horsepower engine. Looks like a Briggs on there. Ads. Oh, a scalping knife. It's not as exciting as I hoped it would be. A Jack Evans story, Future Unlimited. Oh, because he's a senior accountant now. colored aluminum paint. Alcoa aluminum. They stopped using this and I can't remember why. U.S. Army. Get the honest taste of a lucky strike. PM salutes Igor Sikorsky, father of the helicopter. Yeah, the Grand, an open balcony. S-60 Skyhook. That did not go into production, not in that form. By 1909, Sikorsky had built 2 helicopters. The first wouldn't fly, the second lifted its own weight, but the pilot's weight was too much. There we are, the S-61. Until recently, the Canadian Navy was still flying these Sea Kings, the twin-engine version. Where should a small car's engine be? In front, in rear? The battle rages. The knifing started a few months ago when Ford used TV commercials to prove that arrows go straighter when the heavy end is in front rather than in the rear. Chrysler, ostensibly to sell Simcas, distributed pamphlets entitled The Advantages of Front-Engine Cars. Chevrolet, its future wedded to the rear-engine Corvair, saw the climate growing inhospitable. Speaking for Chevrolet was Maurice Olley, former director of research. Olley's main point is that a light, economical car should be designed from scratch to provide the same ride, the same handling, the same braking when loaded as when the driver is alone in the car. It should not be simply a big car scaled down because of the difference in the weight-to-load ratio. The wobbling arrow proves nothing, says Olley. Cars don't operate in free air. A car must run on wheels, must turn corners, stop safely, and go up hills on ice. An arrow needs none of these attributes. How can engineers argue that rear-heavy cars are unstable, says Olley, when almost all the station wagons with more than 2 persons in them are rear-end heavy? What about a Greyhound Scenic Cruiser, which carries 72% of its weight on the rear and is as stable as a battleship? Ford's reply is that back in 1953, this same Maurice Olley, then a Chevrolet executive, delivered an SAE paper in which he stated that rear-engine cars are a poor bargain, at least in the form in which they are at present built. It appears impossible to make a car with heavily loaded rear tires handle safely in a wind, even at moderate speeds. Olley says tires are different today. Anyhow, everybody should learn something in 6 years if he intends to stay up to date. Here comes the flying bicycle. Didn't really work out. Which import is best for you? Well, here's a whole selection. Oh, interesting. An opportunity once again to putter around with the mechanism yourself. However, some makes, like Volkswagen, frown on tinkerers. Really? Nobody tinkers like Volkswagen, guys. Come on. This is the whole point. Would you rather tinker on a Beetle or a Fiat Multipla? Come on. How do owners rate them overall? Saab gives them a 96.9% excellent and 3.1% poor. At the bottom of the list, Simca, only 64.6% excellent, 28.3% average, 7.1% poor. Sounds about right. Which gives best gas mileage? Austin A40, 32 miles per gallon. Renault Dauphine, 31.5. Fiat Multipla, 31. That's right, it's not a 600, it's the Multipla. Volkswagen, 28. Way down here, the Volvo at 20. Not that great. Which owners are most satisfied? Volkswagen. Simca, again in last. Which car accelerates fastest? No surprise there, it's the Volvo. The Fiat, 0 to 40, 25 seconds. 0 to 50 in 50 seconds. 0 to 60 is not applicable. The Volvo in 14 seconds, that's not too shabby for what it is, considering the Volkswagen takes 41. How maneuverable? The Fiat had the tightest turning circle. What are their top speed? Over 70, the Volvo, Simca, Hillman, and DKW. About 55, the Fiat. How do owners rate their dealers? Saab is first, Simca again in last. How dependable? Volkswagen. Simca, 11% broke down on the road. They're last. Do owners feel safer in them? DKW with the win. Owned foreign car before? No, this is first import. Renault at 91.5%, converting people. Saab at 61%. What about luggage space? The Fiat comes in first. The Morris in last. The Fiat's a box. Of course it holds the most boxes. From an Arizona engineer, this Multipla is very versatile. Seat 6, able to haul bulky things like chairs, large boxes of food. A new car for $1,900, 35 miles per gallon. Needs just a few more horsepower, not much more, but for passing and climbing hills. It now has 22, think 28 would be fine. About the Renault Dauphine, convenience and ease of operation. Feels as if you jump in and are halfway to your destination before you could get our old sedan out of the garage and turned around. Heater is not adequate for cold weather. Well, they don't really tell you which one you should get, but they give you an awful lot of information. I'm going to read that more detail later. Here we go, the GMC 305 V6, smallest of the line. This 702-inch V12, made by tandeming two V6s. Jungle Road knifes through the last frontier. That's not very popular anymore. Hacking through the Amazon. Transistor car radio built into mirror. Playground goes modern. And not a piece of foam padding in sight. Huge balloon will shelter largest missiles. I don't think that became a thing, did it? Isn't that kind of like, here's our missile? Squashed up car solves parking headache. The Scuda car. Converter cuts exhaust. Automobiles can now be equipped with a catalytic converter that reduces exhaust hydrocarbons, which are believed to contribute to smog formation. Huh. Midget computer aids engineer. Look how small that is. And it can even do math. Seat on truck bumper speeds up street striping. He's on the front of that truck. Table for your lamp. It's a pretty cute table, actually. I kind of like that. Home uses for urethane foam. Make a lamp. Cut out a new toilet seat. Yeah. Lower your boating bill. I don't think you can. Tractor attachment applies waste oil to control road dust. I'm sure it does. Magnetic holder for drill chuck key. That I like. Spark plugs provide lifting rings for hoisting motor from chassis. Put an eye through a broken spark plug and, well, if you have a steel head, I guess. Don't do that to an aluminum head engine. Don't do that. Oriental planter. Oh dear. Mock automobile crash makes eye-catching roadside sign. There's an Edsel in the area, and I guess it's about an hour away, that it's crashing out of the garage. Make her a play sink. When the future housewife in your family decides to wash her own dishes after a tea party, do not discourage her because the kitchen sink is out of reach. Start 'em young. Why a compression test? Why? Why? Now they're using chemicals. To drill, shape, mill, sharpen, clean, and polish super hard metals on tight production schedules. They sure are. Shopping for tools. Adapter converts a kitchen mixer to a 1/4-inch portable electric drill. Yep. Sure that'll go over well. Whoa, here we go. Pontiac is the only car with wide track wheels. The wheels of a Pontiac are farther apart, widening the stance but not the car. Pontiac wheels are 5 inches farther apart. Lean and sway disappear. Such a cool grill. You'll agree it's the handiest plier of them all. Channel lock. The 420. I have a 420 in my toolbox at work. It's probably not as good as this 420. But I still really like it. King Midget for 1959. The old timer was a 1913 Winton 6. Talk about power. These saws have it in spades. Miller's Falls. Never heard of them. I guess they're gone. P&C Tool Company. Subsidiary of Pendleton Tool Industries. Vice grip. Yep. My principal toolkit for building my 6-room house was vice grip. The true story of Marcel Lacasse, St. John's, Quebec. Yep. A Quebecer could build a whole house with 2 vice grips. Skill saw. We're getting near the end here. Stanley tools. Well, Stanley's not what they used to be. Cox. Thimble drone. P40 Flying Tiger. Must be with a... I think the thimble drones had an 020. Even small, yeah. Special Super Bee. I think it's the 020, even smaller than the 049. Amphibious hovercraft rides on cushion of air. Seems like having the fans in front, I don't know. Sounds like it actually was made and ran. Is Earth warming up? They don't know yet. Suppose it is, although it doesn't feel like it today. Well, that's it. We're on the last page. Porter cable circular saws have power plus accuracy. That's a nice saw. There we are. Not so quick flip through the September 1st, 1959 edition of Popular Mechanics, written so you can understand it, at a cost of 35 cents. Just like brand used.